Women who walk alone are often chosen by God for refinement, because solitude sharpens faith, discernment, obedience, courage, patience, wisdom, humility. God removes distractions from their lives to protect their calling, because crowded paths often drown divine whispers and purpose. Walking alone does not mean abandonment. It means divine alignment, where God becomes the closest companion and guide. Scripture shows God often separates his servants before elevation, preparing hearts through silence, testing, endurance, and spiritual maturity. Ruth walked alone after loss, yet God guided her steps toward redemption, provision, legacy, and covenant blessings. Hannah endured loneliness and misunderstanding, but God used her tears to birth a destiny that changed generations. God removes people to reveal character, because true faith stands firm without applause, validation, or constant encouragement. Women walking alone learn to hear God clearly. Since silence trains the soul to recognize his voice, the Bible teaches separation precedes purpose, because pruning always comes before fruitfulness and multiplication. When God removes everyone, he is not punishing. He is positioning a woman for deeper intimacy. Loneliness becomes sacred ground when God uses it to rebuild identity, confidence, and spiritual authority. Esther stood isolated in the palace, yet God used her courage to save an entire nation. Walking alone refines dependence, teaching women to rely on God rather than unstable human support. God allows isolation to heal wounds caused by people who misunderstood, used, or hindered growth. A woman walking alone learns self-control, discernment, prayer, discipline, and unwavering trust in God. Elijah stood alone against false prophets, proving that obedience outweighs popularity in God's kingdom. God removes relationships that distract from destiny, even when separation feels painful and confusing. Biblical wisdom reveals solitude as preparation, not rejection, shaping leaders with spiritual depth. Women walking alone develop resilience, because faith grows stronger when tested without visible support. Jesus himself often withdrew alone to pray, showing solitude strengthens divine connection and clarity. God strips away crowds, so women discover their worth is rooted in him alone. Walking alone exposes hidden strength, revealing courage previously buried beneath comfort and familiarity. The Bible teaches God disciplines those he loves, using isolation to mature hearts. Women walking alone become dangerous to darkness, because intimacy with God sharpens spiritual authority. God removes voices that confuse, so his truth can speak louder and clearer. Mary pondered alone, carrying divine purpose before the world ever understood her calling. Solitude builds character, teaching patience, endurance, faithfulness, and obedience to God's timing. When God removes everyone, he teaches women they are never truly alone. Walking alone strengthens prayer life, because desperation often produces sincere, powerful communication with God. Biblical women were often misunderstood, yet God vindicated them in due season. God separates women to protect them from relationships that delay destiny. Alone, seasons teach discernment, helping women recognize genuine connections later. The wilderness is God's classroom, where lessons are taught without distractions. Women walking alone learn contentment, discovering peace without external approval. God removes comfort to awaken courage, purpose, and spiritual boldness. Deborah rose in strength, leading Israel when others hesitated and doubted. Solitude reveals motives, purifying hearts from pride, fear, and dependence on people. God prepares women privately before honoring them publicly. Walking alone teaches obedience, even when outcomes remain unseen. The Bible shows elevation follows seasons of hidden preparation. God removes people who cannot go where he is taking you. Women, walking alone, develop spiritual discernment, sharper than emotional impulses. Isolation trains endurance, preparing women for responsibility and leadership. God uses loneliness to birth clarity, vision, and unwavering conviction. Ruth's loyalty in solitude positioned her for divine favor. Walking alone builds faith rooted in truth, not circumstances. God removes counterfeit support to reveal authentic divine provision. Women, walking alone, become vessels of wisdom, compassion, and strength. Solitude deepens humility, keeping hearts aligned with God's will. God refines character in silence before releasing influence. Walking alone teaches women to trust God's timing completely. Biblical wisdom honors patience developed through seasons of waiting. God removes people to heal identity wounds caused by comparison. Women walking alone learn confidence grounded in God's promises. Solitude reveals purpose beyond validation and approval. God's pruning hurts, but it produces lasting spiritual fruit. Walking alone strengthens obedience when paths seem uncertain. God uses isolation to eliminate distractions from destiny. Women walking alone become spiritually grounded and emotionally resilient. Biblical solitude leads to revelation, transformation, and maturity. God removes voices that contradict His calling. Walking alone prepares women for divine assignments. Solitude teaches discernment between God's voice and noise. God refines faith through quiet endurance. Women walking alone discover inner peace rooted in God. Biblical journeys often begin in isolation. God removes people to teach dependence on Him. Walking alone builds unshakable spiritual foundations. Solitude transforms weakness into strength. God uses alone seasons to sharpen obedience. Women walking alone gain clarity about purpose. Biblical wisdom honors preparation through separation. God removes attachments that hinder growth. Walking alone strengthens resilience and courage. Solitude refines prayer and faith. God prepares women for leadership privately. Walking alone reveals divine identity. Biblical women endured isolation before victory. God removes people to protect destiny. Solitude produces spiritual authority. Walking alone teaches surrender to God. Biblical wisdom values quiet strength. God refines hearts through silence. Walking alone builds eternal perspective. Solitude prepares women for impact. God removes everyone to draw closer. Walking alone strengthens faith deeply. Biblical journeys require patience. God honors endurance in solitude. Walking alone leads to divine fulfillment.